a kick up here. I want to make sure that it's working on the old LinkedIn machine. So if it's working on LinkedIn, good morning. We will find out in a minute. The way I usually work these live shows, I give it a minute to resonate on the old LinkedIn machine. And anyone who's following at home, welcome. We're going to try this out in a minute here. Let's see if we have a live stream. I will urge you, if you have your, let's see in a minute here, just to keep your volume down on your computer. That way it is like usually like a 5-second delay here.
Okay.
Let's see if it's coming up on my feed. Yesterday, I had to send out a new link to everybody. It was kind of annoying right in the morning, but I don't think we're going to have that problem today. Let's see what's happening here. There's a lot of people on the old live. We're going to give it a second here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are working this out. We are working it out. We are... Nope, it's not coming up on my feed yet. Let's see. Do you see it in your feed? Under my...
Not yet.
Oh, that's such a pain in the butt. It did the same thing yesterday when I literally had to send out a new link to everybody.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was not fun. LinkedIn was just not connecting to the live.
You know what? Again, I've had these issues with WebEx calls, with Zoom last week. You'd think we would have had it figured out by now, right?
No, this is kind of annoying because it's not showing up in my. Could you go to my page?
Yep.
Let's see if it's showing. Yeah, that's what I'm doing too. It should show up in my content like as a post.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not working, we're gonna Oh, we're live. Yeah, here we go.
There we go.
Yeah, we are live. We are live. We are live. We're doing this, people.
How are you?
Hey, hold on. Let me get out of that. Hold on.
Wait, something weird is happening.
Something strange is happening here. All right. Hi, everybody.
I think I'm getting...
I think we did it. I think we're live. I think I can. We could do this. We are on the LinkedIn Live. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us here. Let me just make sure that we are up and running. We have 2 video views. Here we go. And Adam Sinkus, what's up? All right, cool. We are broadcasting on the live show. Let's let this load up for a minute here. Good morning, everybody. It is the 24th day of March. It does feel like Groundhog Day. I do feel like Bill Murray a little bit, but my attitude is changing. The sun is out. The sun is shining here in New York. I am happy. I'm with my first guest today on the Tuesday show. Cerise, how are you doing? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm hanging in there like the rest of us, Adam. How about you?
I'm doing all right. And you're looking pretty awesome this morning. I love the scarf and you look happy and just happy to be here.
You know what? This is a fun time for us. We're all learning, getting through it, right?
That is what's happening here. It's a learning. And where are you looking? You're in New York?
I'm in New York. I'm in the nitty-gritty Manhattan.
I'm out in Long Island, so it's a little different here in the burbs, but what's a word on the street? I mean, actually, there's probably no words on the street right now, but what's going on? Could you hear me? Could you hear me now? Could you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now.
What's happening in Manhattan? I mean, are you getting out? Are you at least taking a walk? Are you getting fresh air? How are you interacting with your fellow men and women on the street?
Not very much. So we started self-quarantining like 10, 11 days ago before the DOE, the Department of Ed, put a mandate on it. We have 2 kids. We've been staying put, with the exception of going out for groceries once a week because it's difficult to get fresh things delivered in a timely manner around here.
Right. Yeah, it's a tough one. So you got to put the orders in. What part of Manhattan are you in?
I'm on the Upper West Side.
Oh, okay, cool. I lived there for a number of years. We were on our first apartment together was on 69th and right across from the movie theater at Lincoln Center, right above the Apple store over there. You want to say hi? Come on. Sorry, my 7.5-year-old daughter. Come around this way, buddy. You can slide in here. She just wants to kind of say a quick hello to everybody.
Hi.
We are live, everybody.
So
could you hear me? You can't hear me? Audio? Could you hear me? I could see you. Could you hear me?
You have a guest.
I do have a guest. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. This is Nina. This is my almost 8-year-old daughter. We are figuring out everything with her too. We're figuring out schooling. She has a whole online curriculum that she's doing. We have gym, we have art, we have music, we have all that fun stuff too. But she's gonna say goodbye now. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, Gina.
Nina.
Oh, Nina. Sorry.
Yeah. So, we were on the Upper West Side for a little bit, and I can imagine the stores there are bare. It's a little bit harder maybe to restock them. But are you like fully stocked up? You guys are in good shape with everything?
Oh, yeah. I mean, survival instincts kicked in for me really quickly, with 2 kids, as you can imagine. It's like, wait a minute, we need food, we need this. So it was from the get-go just hoarding. I hate to say it, but hoarding cans and things like that.
You know what? It's survival mode because you don't want to be a hoarder. You don't want to be selfish. But at the same time, you go into mama bear mode and you want to protect your kids and protect your household and have all those supplies that you need. But today I'm switching up my energy and I want to be positive.
The audio, I can't hear you, but I could see you.
Could you hear me? Adam, could you hear me? I see you in the waiting room. Could you hear me? Just give me a thumbs up if you could hear me, Adam. All right, good. So everyone could hear me there. We'll try that again. So let's talk a little bit work-wise. What's your day-to-day when you're not stuck in your apartment?
It varies. I've been consulting for some folks, working with Facebook sometimes. Sometimes that means going into their offices, but sometimes that is remote. I feel like a lot of us lately have been doing the remote work even before this Corona crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But I will say overall, like this whole Corona, it's been an issue. But I'm enjoying it. I feel like I have more time because I'm home. I'm able to structure my day and get things done. And it's taking it day by day, right? For most of us.
Exactly.
With the exception of meeting people in person, which obviously we're not doing. I'm doing a lot of calls at home. I've had issues with Zoom meeting sometimes.
It's overloaded.
Wi-Fi. I feel like there's so many people on Wi-Fi in the building now. So it's a little difficult, but we're getting through it,
right? Yeah, that's another interesting part too. I mean, I actually went out and could you hear me now? Could you hear me? Can you hear me? Adam, could you hear me in the waiting room? Yeah, so it's on your phone. Could you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think the Wi-Fi strained here. So let's talk about we only have a couple minutes. I want to talk about silver linings. I want to talk about positive. I'm even wearing my positive energy hat. I rarely wear this hat. I wear this hat a couple times a year. It's my Dalai Lama hat. It's just be stoked, reminds me to just kind of be focused and mindful in everything that we do. I put on my Mets shirt. I'm a huge Mets fan. I'm trying to think of all the amazing things. I mean, opening day literally, I think, would be later this week for baseball. I mean, everyone's disappointed. Everyone's canceling everything. Everyone's life is canceled. But Cerise, let's talk about silver linings. What are some of these amazing positive things that are happening in your life with you and your family right now?
We're taking time to dance together. We do dinner and a show at night. And I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old. Adam, you may want to try this. So instead of putting on the TV and watching a movie, which is okay some days, we'll eat dinner and everyone's responsible on their given day to do a show for the rest of the family in the living room. It could be a magic show. It could be a dance show. It could be a yoga instructor-led show. So those are the kinds of things we're doing here.
Oh, I love it. I think I'm going to take this idea. I think I'm going to charter my daughter with a task. I'm going to give her 2 days. I'm going to give her till Thursday. We're going to do dinner and a show, and I'm going to have her put on a show for Thursday night. I think she'll love it. Incorporate my 1.5-year-old son who is finally sleeping right now. So, I know we got cut short a little bit, but, I want to keep the show moving. So, Cerise, is there a mantra, a morning mantra, something that you repeat to yourself every day, especially now, even like something you started before the situation that keeps you laser focused, keeps you positive, and keeps a good energy flowing?
I thank the powers that be for giving me each opportunity that I am given. And when I feel like absorb the opportunity and the things that are going well for you in your life, it'll open the doors for other positivity. And it'll also shine your light on the world so that others can receive that energy as well.
I love it, Cerise. That's awesome. I know this is a short interview here, but let's continue the conversation. I appreciate you. Let's keep the lines open, and we'll certainly connect offline.
I can't hear you, but
could you? Yes, I'm wishing you good vibes and everything, and I want to thank you so much. Take care, Cerise. You can wave. She's on her phone. Okay, bye. All right, everybody. So before I bring on my next guest, Adam, I want to try something a little bit different here. I went over to my bookshelf that's behind me here, and I took a couple of books off. So in between each guest, I want to just highlight a couple of books of people that I absolutely love. The first one I want to talk about is Heather Monahan, Confidence Creator. Heather was a guest on my show a couple months back. She's incredible, a voice of positive energy, a voice of courage and everything. Here's Heather's book here, and if you haven't checked it out, here's her signature over here. Check it out. Great book, awesome human being. Definitely check out Heather. Check out her podcast. There's a shout out to her. The second one is going out to my friends Tabitha Kavanaugh and Scott McGregor. Standing O, another great book. Funny enough, Heather wrote the foreword to this one. Just great tidbits here. Positive energy, life affirmations, career affirmations here. Claude is in here, my shining light Claude Silver. Nice little inscription from Scott on this one. So a couple of great books here. People in my community, people that have been on the podcast. I do not get any cuts or affiliate for this one. But let's bring on my next guest here, Adam Sinkus. Adam, welcome to the podcast, my man.
What's going on? Excited to be here.
Can you hear me, man?
Yeah.
Could you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool.
Fine. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I think what's happening, technically, if you're on your phone, I think there might be a little bit audio delay, and that's probably what her problem might have been there. Adam was on our show with Tabitha, right? Was that a couple of weeks ago?
No, I was on with you and Golad.
Oh yeah, with Brian, we were doing the resume review. And Adam, remind me again where you're located.
I'm in Southwest Florida.
All right, what's happening down there? What's the word? What's everyone feeling? Are people taking this thing seriously?
I think there's a lot of people that are taking it seriously. We have, a lot of old people. The laughing joke is Florida is God's waiting room, right? So,
yep.
I think there are a lot of people taking it seriously. I'm happy to see the stores starting to take this seriously. Costco, Sam's Club, Publix all announced that they're not taking returns anymore on those hoarded items, hand sanitizer, TP, all that kind of stuff. So.
Wait! People were returning them.
I don't know if they're returning them yet, but I think they're anticipating that all these people that have stockpiled all this crap are gonna just like when it's over, return it all. They do it down here with all the hurricanes too. So it's
man. So people come and they literally buy up everything
and then return it. A couple of weeks later because they didn't need it.
Oh, that's just taking away from everybody else.
Yeah, it takes away, and there's a lot of things like grocery store wise that they can't resell a lot of that stuff.
That's pretty terrible.
Food product they can't resell. So,
no, the hoarding's not good. So let's talk about some positivity. How are you using this time to better yourself? I know you're on the hunt right now. You're still on the job hunt. What's happening? Let's two questions here. Let's start off. What's happening on the job hunt? Any updates on your end?
Nothing really. I mean, a lot of the kind of the leads that I was tracking down have kind of hit a stagnant point. I would imagine in the next week or two, people are going to start figuring out, exactly what that looks like from an internal end. How do we handle this, right? I think that's a big question that a lot of people, a lot of companies are having. I've talked to a lot of small businesses. I do some small business consulting, and that's one of the things that they're talking about is, we have work, but we have no way to hire the people that we need to get the work done because nobody's showing up for in-person meetings. So.
Well, why can't they do it remote? I don't understand. Why can't it be done remote?
And that's what I've been telling them. I'm like, get on Zoom, get on. There's a lot of different ways to go about it, but I think I think a lot of people are navigating that as new territory. And
I mean, it's new for companies, right? They're not used to it. It disrupts their process, but this is the new norm.
It is. Yeah, I'm with you. Obviously, I'm on Zoom and all that stuff all the time, having different conversations. So I'm with you. I think it is the new norm. I think companies are sitting in really an interesting space as they shift their teams to work at home.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of companies are pausing right now to navigate that transition as well. So
yeah, it's a whole new world. So how are you keeping your spirits up, Adam?
Hustling, man. Just putting opportunities on my plate wherever I can put opportunities on my plate. Like I said, just making lots of conversations, spending a lot of time focusing on building network, building, effective relationships with different people from different spaces. So, and really enjoying the time with my family as well. So they're all with me.
Right. I mean, we're all in this together. I feel like we're all on this ship that's in the middle of the ocean, and we haven't been on this ship for a while together. Right. Everyone kind of gets off the ship every day. Everyone goes to the land. They run their missions and kind of come back to the ship. But now the ship is in the middle of the ocean, and it's connecting us. And that's one of the great silver linings. I mean, I'm kind of mindful of the people that may not have the best family situations, and I think it's important that we, send them. I mean, there's nothing we can really do except try to be there for them as a resource. And if we know people that are in, difficult homes, difficult households where it's not ideal, as you said, be there for them. Like, figure it out with technology. We set up Zooms. Yeah. We set up, we do virtual hangouts with our friends on Friday nights. We do happy hour. We do dance parties with the kids. My daughter does cheer and gymnastics and dance over the Zoom, and that's what people are doing, to keep their spirits up. So when you're not on Zoom, I mean, what are some of the things that you're doing to keep your energy and your spirits up, Adam?
Honestly, I'm a gamer, so I hit up the video games. We play a lot of board games in my family as well. So that's a big piece for us as well. Is just keeping positive, and we're binging a lot of Netflix these days.
What are you watching? Let's get Adam Sinkus's top 5 Netflix picks right now. Movie shows, doesn't matter. Mix it up.
So I am watching The Ranch and The Magicians right now. So 2 very different shows. Ranch is a comedy, and Magicians a little more serious fantasy drama type thing. And then we've been watching Lock and Key as well.
Oh,
I try not to dive into too many series, because then I get lost on what's going on each one of them. And
isn't that a problem, right? And I mean, we try to watch them continuously, because to your point too, I can maybe juggle 2 Netflix series plus our broadcast shows that that we like to watch, because otherwise you're juggling storylines, you're juggling kind of what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one, but I'm like 2, maybe 3 shows max. Like that's my bandwidth.
Oh man, I don't know if Ozark started yet. I'm a big Ozark fan.
I haven't watched that one yet.
Oh, it's good. It's dark, man. What else? We're watching Hunters on Amazon Prime right now with Al Pacino, which is incredible. It's like in the they hunt Nazis that are living in America after the war, which is pretty crazy.
Okay, so I saw that one. That one looked interesting.
That is a good one. That is a good one. What else are we watching? I followed the Narcos series. I have to get back into Mexican Narcos. There's a new season out there, and I think it's pretty cool. Like, let's talk about innovation. People obviously can't go to the movies, and a lot of the movie studios are putting out early release on Netflix or on in demand, because at least it keeps their production going. It puts money in their pocket, and it's changing the way we consume content. Right. I mean, we've been kind of going down this path anyway. I don't think the movies are going to go out of business. I think that once this opens back up, there's an experience in the movies. Right.
Yeah. The movie theaters is more so about the experience than it is anything else. Right. It's the popcorn, it's the smells, it's the sound, it's the giant screen, it's the immersive, overall experience. That's what makes the movie theater a draw.
Absolutely. So I want to go back to the job search here, because I think that your story is relatable to a lot of people who were, in the midst of that job search. They were out of work before the shit hit the fan here and things kind of went downhill. And it kind of compounds, because it made your job search just so much harder for lack of opportunities. Are you sticking to your core foundation, your core diet of what you do every single day, your follow-ups, your following, chasing your leads, getting the resume out there, applying? Talk a little bit about your daily routine when it comes to your job search.
Yeah. Daily routine is huge. So I still set an alarm every single day. I start my work day at 9:00. Doing productive tasks from 9 to 5:30, depending on the day, depending on what's going on. But I set, so I get my whiteboard going, and, I like that. I hit lists and really make a targeted approach every single day. What am I going to accomplish today? So I take a very, systematic, almost the same structure you take if you're sitting at work working on projects and things like that, right? It just helps keep my sanity kind of in one place, as opposed to, really being all over the place, and really just like kind of that hope and prayer and, oh, I'm going to do laundry and, oh, I'm going to go do this. No, my daytime is reserved for productive tasks.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it comes down to routines. A couple of quick shout outs here. Cerise, thanks for joining us again. I'm sorry the technical cut us off there. And my man Brad Richardson is talking. He's saying Ozark season 3 comes out on Friday, so I will binge that when I have a chance. He's also asking, let's see what he says here. Do you think that this will lead to the eventual death of movie theaters?
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think the experience, I don't think people have an immersive enough experience at home. I mean, I got a pretty killer surround sound system on our main TV, and we can get the rumble and stuff, but there's still nothing like 100-foot screen.
Yeah, it's an experience. And I don't think movies, and if you think about it too, movie theaters have been around since way, way before us. And they've survived wars, they survived depressions, they've survived recessions, depressions, and everything in between. And I think when we actually get back to it, people are going to want to get back to those creature comforts, those things that they really love, that grounds them as humans, that grounds them as, and the movies that brings us together. And you're right. Like, you're not going to go see a Marvel. There's a complete different experience seeing, a Marvel film, or a big epic, blockbuster on the big screen versus your small screen.
Yep.
So I think that's absolutely going to change, and people are going to really get back to it. We're not scientists, we're not doctors here, but what's your prediction? When do you think this is all going to kind of clear over, and we'll get back to normal everyday life? I mean, it's not going to be the same normal everyday life. Things are going to be much different, but like, when are we going to be able to integrate back into society and end this social distancing? What do you think?
Based on what I've read, what I've watched, I think we got really another like 4 weeks here of like deep and heavy. And then I think, I really think by May we start the recovery process. But I wholeheartedly believe that we're going to have probably 5 or 6 months of recovery process, before we're really back to, pre-coronavirus. So but what I think is interesting is I think you're going to see a lot of companies are going to be shifting to staying at work at home. That I'm really wholeheartedly believe that, based on what I've read and what I've looked at. We were already kind of leaning towards that pre-coronavirus. Last 5 years or so, we've seen a really big uptick in it. But I think this is that push that a lot of companies are going to see. We can be really effective without actually being at an office all the time. Oh, lost audio.
Hi, could you hear me? There we go.
I can hear you.
Yeah, so I had the mic on mute while I was drinking my water. I could kind of go both ways on this. I work remote for the most part. I go into the city when I need to visit clients and everything. And I think for certain industries, it's okay. Like with recruiting specifically, I don't need to be in an office all the time. I go and I talk to my hiring managers, I talk to my clients, but there is such a huge value to having that face-to-face contact, that collaboration, but there has to be a balance there. Some people thrive in it, some people don't. Some people don't have an ideal work from home situation. So I think it's about companies giving the flexibility.
Yep.
2 things. 1, companies saying that it actually works to allow their employees to be more flexible. We talk about the future of work. The future of work is giving your employees more trust and adaptable schedules, right? We all have families, we all have things going on. And even if you don't have kids, right, you have things like doctor's appointments, other things. And sometimes you need to just work from home and be productive. I find a lot of times, like cutting the commute out, right? Everyone has a commute one way or another. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 3 hours, whatever that is in between. But you cut that time out and you multiply that times 2. That is productive awake time. Now, let's just say you normally start your day at 9 o'clock in your office. What if you could start your day at 8 a.m.? You add an extra hour of productivity, or, that extra hour, you're going to the gym, you're being healthy, you're spending time with your family, you're bringing your stress level down, which in turn makes you a more productive employee, which cuts down on keeps your health hopefully more positive, and that cuts down on costs for employees. So you think about all the benefits here.
Yeah, no, I think there's huge benefits. I think a lot of industries, I think you'll see go to kind of a blended model. A couple days work at home, a couple days in the office. I agree with you. I think there still is advantages to being in an office. The unintentional social aspect of an office is you're just moving around in your natural activities within an office. Create social opportunities, which are important in the problem solving process. But at the same token, I am all in on the productivity piece of that. If you don't have the commute, you can start, you start your workday at 8 o'clock as opposed to 9 o'clock. You bring in a lower stress level because, let's be honest, commutes not exactly the most relaxing of things usually. So
No.
so you bring in a lower stress level, right from the get-go. And then I also think what's interesting is that it provides you the flexibility, to schedule those things like a doctor's appointment. I need to run to the bank to take care of this thing. All those things that we would normally take a day off for, I can go do on my lunch break because I'm at home, right? And
yeah, exactly.
Or I can schedule a day around it, And so the other thing that I think is interesting is as we shift to this work at home model, we shift to a productivity based mindset instead of a time based mindset, right? So
interesting. What do you mean?
So what I mean is, we as a leader, you need to start focusing on outcomes and objectives more so than you need to focus on exactly how everybody is spending every minute of their day, right? So
exactly.
So what happens there is you have to trust that your team is being productive, and as long as they're meeting their deadlines with quality work, how it's getting done, should be less of a question. You build that opportunity.
Right. What's the outcome, right? Like, let's gauge people on the outcome, right? Versus the input. Like, we're not counting hours. And that's something I love about a bunch of my clients that trust me, right? We're not nickel and diming, there's no time sheets, right? It's about, hey, we trust Adam Sinkus, Adam Posner, right? They're going to do good work. They're going to produce. They're going to do what we're paying them to do. And we don't have to babysit them. We're all adults here. Just get it done.
Exactly.
No, I love it. I want to talk about, outside of work. You said you're a big gamer. Is there anything, like, are you a sports guy?
I am a little bit more so. So my gamer world is the RPG games, first person shooters, mostly online. I'm terrible at them, but it's fun to go run around and shoot at people.
I miss that.
And then I love racing games as well. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's my world of gaming.
So you're kind of used to staying connected virtually. I mean, the gamers have been doing this for a long time since we had the technology.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm huge on LinkedIn. I'm always connecting with people. Always taking those opportunities to build those relationships. Much like you, I focus on quality relationships, people that actually are going to matter in my overall scheme of where I'm trying to go with things, more so than just connecting with everybody in the world. And I take the same approach with gamers. The gamers
I like that.
I connect with people who play the same kind of games that I can team up with and enjoy. So we enjoy playing.
Well, I like that, and we talk about that approach too. Now, listen, I'm a big proponent. You've seen my content where I tell people, like, listen, you're going to choose your own path. There's people that use this platform for different reasons. Some people look to monetize and grow their audience. For me and you, we're the mindset where it's quality over quantity. Right. I mean, listen, I've been on the platform since 2006. If I really wanted to, I could easily have, 5 times as many followers and connections that I have. But what's the point of that? What's the point of maxing out? It's not a race. And I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Use this time to deepen those connections, set up Zoom calls, set up phone calls. That's something I'm doing as well. But I'm also being mindful of running my business and keeping the workflow going. Are you starting to think that maybe, because I've been having this thought of, like, what else could I do? What are my transferable skills? Am I going to have to start, thinking about what's next or something different? Even temporary,
Yeah. I've been working on those thoughts for about the last 7-8 months. So I'm probably a lot farther ahead than most people in this space. But I really want to. I've really been driving to do some small business consulting. Really giving back to some of the small businesses in my community. And right now is a great time to be involved with that because I can help them build those sustainability plans to really float through this thing and is hopefully a relatively unscathed manner. Working with them on disaster recovery, things like that. So that's kind of my contingency plan at the moment. And it's something I've been working on trying to figure out how to insert myself more in that space over time.
Yep.
That's where I sit right now in my contingency plan.
No, I love it. Let's take a little game break here. You like games? You like games. Of course you like games.
I love games.
All right, we're gonna play a little game here. Bear with me for 1 minute. Let me just make sure my next guest, she's having a little bit of technical difficulties. We're gonna get her up in the green room in a minute. Let's make sure that she's good there. Okay, so this is a game I've been playing with everybody I played on my show. It's called Pod Decks here, and obviously I hate engagement pods, so I don't support the name of it. And if you're in engagement pods, now is a great time to get out of an engagement pod, to unpod, get out of it. It's a waste of time, and you're killing the platform. That's me preaching for a moment here. So I'm going to pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards here, and we're going to keep them. So this is my right to my left here. My right is number 1. Pick a number.
Let's go with number 4.
1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Here's a question for you, Adam. Would you rather be the most popular kid in school or the smartest kid in school?
For sure, the smartest kid in school.
I mean, that's a dumb question.
For sure, the smartest kid in school. If I'm smart enough, I can fix the popularity thing.
I agree, and smart is sexy now, and I think that's fine. I think it'd be popular. I think if you ask anybody on LinkedIn that too. Okay, let's go here. We're down to 4 cards.
Let's go with number 2.
Number 2, Laura, how you doing? Wave your hand. I see you in there in the waiting room. Hey, Laura, I'll bring you in a couple of minutes. Okay, what is the funniest or the most disappointing, weirdest text message that you've ever received? And we're gonna keep it clean here.
Oh gosh. My best friend, when he hasn't heard from me in a while, he just he'll just text me like when you just drag your hand across the keyboard type thing.
Right? Oh, like a swipe.
Yeah, he just like drags his hand all out. No words, nothing cohesive out of it, and then it's usually followed up by some sort of inappropriate emoji.
Oh man, or meme, and there's some real funny stuff going around. Listen, the coronavirus is not funny, but I think we're finding moments of levity for all of us to kind of laugh. I think that we need that. And the group text, the messenger groups, lots of Facebook groups around it too, and I think that's pretty awesome. Hey, Adam, last words of advice. Is there a mantra or something that you repeat to yourself daily to keep your energy and spirits up?
Just every day is a new opportunity. And so what can I create today that's going to help somebody, get to the next step? That's really what keeps me going every day.
I love it. Adam, thank you so much, man. Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. So here's my book break, and I'm going to talk about 2 books. Guests that I absolutely love, 2 people that are very close to me. The first one, Believership by Mike Vacanti. If you haven't checked it out, Mike is a wealth of wisdom, someone who's been a friend to me. Actually, the second guest on my show. Definitely check out his book here. Here's the inscription, nice little inscription. And I'm kind of, not by design, but I have this crazy collection now of guests on my show that happen to all be authors, and I'm building up my bookshelf here. This guy's my spirit animal, somebody that I truly believe in, Dave Meltzer. We're working to get him on the show next week and do a dedicated podcast live with him. This is one of his books. He's got a couple. Dave Meltzer, just incredible, awesome human being, spiritual energy, mindset, practical, near term. So definitely as well. I am going to welcome my next guest, somebody that I have yet to connect with, and we will do that now. Laura Izard, welcome to the show.
Hey there. It's Izard, actually.
Can't hear you. Are you muted?
No, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
Izard.
That's it.
I can. Welcome. And you're over in the UK, correct?
I'm in London, and we're on our day 1 of enforced lockdown.
How's
So
that going?
interesting times. Do you know, it's kind of been a time coming. My best friend lives in San Francisco, and she's explained the ins and outs of shelter in place. So we kind of knew it was coming, and we were prepared. And I think that our Prime Minister has just said, you guys, if you can't stay inside and you keep running around the parks and playing tennis, I'm going to have to clamp down. And this is kind of what happened.
You know what? When people don't take it seriously, you have to enforce some serious rules. And we saw it early here. I'm in New York. I'm in the suburbs in Long Island here, and it was as recent as I would say the end of last week. I saw kids in the playground playing basketball. I'm like,
Yeah.
Are your parents? Is no one kind of telling you what's going on here? And you know what? We all have to kind of lock it down. And there's something, I don't want to get too dark on this too, but there's something I've been weighing in my head too. Like, listen, this is a serious pandemic, and we need to stop the spread of it. But is there a balance of how long do we keep businesses and schools shut down versus kind of returning back to somewhat of a semblance and getting the economy going? Like, where's that, where's that balance? I mean, when do you say like we've done enough damage versus we have to protect everybody and kind of figure this thing out? What are your thoughts?
Well, this is a tricky thing, and Boris Johnson over here, our PM, has said that what we need to do is flatten the sombrero over the course of the summer as we look to the tail of this thing, and people, the herd immunity building up, people's immune systems getting stronger, the people who can cope with the virus getting, contracting it, dealing with it, getting out and about in the world. The challenge is, how do we balance that with completely overloading our amazing National Health Service here?
Oh, yeah.
And I know that you are not blessed with the same service in the States. It is phenomenal. The guys who are working, coming off their, you hear stories of people coming from their incredible
off the shift.
Well, yeah, no, they might have a really lucrative Harley Street plastic surgery business, and all of a sudden nobody needs a new pair of breasts at the moment. So they're on the front line doing the real stuff, and we are so incredibly appreciative. In fact, there's this I'm not really answering your question. I don't know what the answer
is. It's okay.
You can.
There's no answer.
It's just it's going to be an incredibly long tail, isn't it? And we don't know. And I guess that's what Boris was trying to do, hold off, so that we didn't have this inevitable. But when do we exit from this this lockdown?
It's definitely scary, and it's unprecedented, and we're all kind of figuring it out. So let's kind of level set here. Laura, first and foremost, it's a pleasure to connect. Welcome to the podcast.
You as well.
I'm trying something new here. So I'm a recruiter by trade, and a question that I ask people that I newly connect with, new candidates, everything. Laura, tell us who you are and what you do best.
So I'm in recruitment. I've been in recruitment all of my career, and I currently work in talent acquisition in a management consultancy here in London. And I recruit lateral hires into the business. So when we look for our partner level, and we can't bring people up internally because we're growing quickly, I will look into the market and bring those people in. And so I work across all of our geographies. We're in the Nordics, in Western Europe. We have a huge presence here in the UK and then in the US as well. And that is that's my main job. I absolutely adore it. And PA consulting.
Some recruiters love it, right? You got to love what we do, right? It's a tough job.
Yeah, I'm one of those sad people. I've just never lost the wonder of it. I can see the difference that we make as recruiters if we do it properly. And, there's those moments when you create real alchemy with a person that you met and you know what makes them tick. And that clearly fascinates you as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't be coming up with this incredible idea for the podcast. So that's my job. And PA we're an amazing business. Like, just at the moment, I've been speaking to some of my my internal stakeholders, and we are doing really cool stuff at the cutting edge of fighting the virus. So, for example, we're a management consultancy. We're all about ingenuity. All of our operating model business is looking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
The operating model business is partnering with a surgical sheets manufacturer to work out how they can quadruple their production, so that when we start to build big clinical spaces, when the hospitals are overloaded and we need to move to big communal spaces to make a clinical area, we have the surgical sheets in place to keep patients safe. And another really amazing thing that I found out we're doing is partnering with the Formula One manufacturers.
Yes, I saw
to
this. Right?
repurpose their infrastructure for the respirators.
Right. They have the technology, just innovating and pivoting.
Exactly. So this is the business that I'm in, and I'm just
love it.
fiercely proud. I've got some pretty easy sells when I'm trying to attract new candidates in when this is all over.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We talk about how so many companies are innovating now. I think I saw Uniqlo, or not Uniqlo, Zara is making hospital masks now and gowns using the technology. They have the equipment. It's just about changing some settings and reconfiguring the templates to make it happen. I mean, it's wartime. I mean, if you go back to the wars, companies were commissioned to make, back then it was a lot of weapons and stuff, but they also made clothing for the troops. They made clothing to support that as well. And innovation's incredible. I really think that, one of this, I really want this show to be about silver linings, and you talk about the innovations that are coming out of this pandemic. What are you seeing on the personal side? How you're communicating with your friends and colleagues? Let's talk about those interpersonal relationships. I mean, us recruiters are very used to doing a lot of things remotely. And certainly meeting candidates face to face as well. But we're used to this, and a lot of people aren't, and have that face to face contact. What are you finding?
So by nature, I'm an introvert, so I'm not struggling too much with this. And my passion project is, I have a blog called Comeback Girl, and what I do on that is, because I don't get enough recruitment all day, I provide recruitment advice for midlifers, people who are coming back to work after career breaks. And so that's just a blog post. I do a little podcast myself, which I'll probably resurrect now that I have a little bit more time.
Do it.
Yeah. And so that's a way. So through that I'm used to connecting on social media and having an opportunity there's some purpose there. So I think that what I'm observing already is people are really focusing down on their purpose already, because they have to prioritize. They've got time to think about, what's really, really important to me, because it's kind of being slammed right up in my face. I don't have as many distractions as I normally do. And I just think there's some real alchemy in the connections that you make at times like this, because it no longer matters to be talking about the small stuff. So I'm not struggling at all to find the silver lining. My husband thinks I'm mad. He's a small business owner. And clearly there's a huge humanitarian crisis that we're facing. But we do have to come up with, how am I going to survive this, and what are the good bits? And I think intimacy, alchemy in your relationships, hunkering down with your family, if you've got hobbies. So again, I'm the wrong side of 50 to be admitting this, but I've got a cross stitch, and everyone laughs at me at work, but it's going absolutely
makes you happy.
Gangbusters. Exactly. So
do what you're passionate about. My passion, you can't really see it here on the shelf there. Like I do like these crazy Lego sets. I have my Ghostbusters one there. I have some on my back shelf over there. I do some with my kids. I do some with myself. But do those things that make you happy, and getting back to your values and your roots, right? Yeah,
I completely agree with you. And for people who are working out how they're going to return to work if they've been on career break, which is my favorite.
I want to talk about that for a little bit. Let's dig into that, because that's something that I talk a lot about too, whether it be people going on sabbaticals or mothers, fathers, paternity and maternity leave, taking time off, and that's a challenge in the recruiting business, because you have to address it with the potential two things. One, and I'd love to hear your take on my side. It's one, how does a candidate manage that communication and that mindset? And two, employers being receptive and understanding why people take those breaks, and that doesn't affect their value or their skill set. What's your take?
I think we have an amazing opportunity at this time when all employers are mindful of having a more diverse, inclusive population. It's an amazing opportunity for people who have been on career break to get back in. And in fact, in my own organisation, they've been great at letting me run a returners program. We have 2 people who have come from completely different walks of life, actually, to management consultancy, but took the time to think about what their transferable skills were and what their own personal brand was, and got back in. And so I think the opportunity for employers is to get really resourceful, resilient, people with great worldviews, people who are not they just have so many more dimensions to them that they can bring to problem solving, working as a team, being ingenuous. And I see that in these, it's proven to me. I've got proof of concept in these returners who have come into our business. I think for the returners themselves, this is the perfect time to being really intentional about what you're going to do to get back into work. What is the ideal role for you? We're all learning about working much more flexibly and remotely. So this
100%.
this is hugely advantageous for most people returning to work who are probably going to need that extra level of flexibility that they're used to. So taking the time to work out what their unique offering is, and then reaching out and into the market and creating connections with their past and present connections and making future connections when people are more receptive, because we've just all got a little bit more time to have the real conversations. So I think that is great.
Now, let's talk about mindset for a little bit. I mean, I'm sure you had a number of candidates that are returning to the workforce, and 2 weeks ago, they were prepared. They probably had some interviews underway. There were various stages of the interview process. And then, the proverbial shit hit the fan, and so many processes have paused. So many have stopped. I mean, I have some clients that said, all right, let's pause for a day or two, figure this out. Figure out the process. Let's shift from on-site to, video, remote. How do we figure that out? And then some other clients that said, you know what, we need to pause right now and freeze our holding process. And that's a tough pill for a lot of candidates to swallow. How are you coaching your candidates from a mindset perspective? How are you coaching them during this time where, they either had all their eggs in one basket, they were set on this idea of returning to work? How are you working with them?
It is such a great question. I think it's like any good investor, you have to be like Warren Buffett right now. You have to diversify your portfolio and look at a number of opportunities. It may well be that this is the time when you find something that actually is a better opportunity for you. I just don't believe anything happens for anything as a coincidence. I think there's a reason for everything. And so maybe take this opportunity to look at, okay, I'm really disappointed. I was down to the 3rd stage interview. It's looking like the process is going to be delayed till 3 months. What else can I do? Can I be connecting with other people in that particular market to educate myself more on that part of the business? Talking to your mates about how frustrating it is and being real about, I almost got this job and now it's been taken out from under me, not pretending that it's not happening. Asking if you can stay in contact with the hiring manager is a big one. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, so no hiring manager who is saying to you, look, I'm really sorry, this process has protracted. It's going to be another 6 months. Is going to say, but I don't want to talk to you in that time. Everyone's going to want to build the relationships and pipeline good people. I mean, that's what our job is going to be, Adam, right? For the next quarter, at least, it is going to be building up a gorgeous, glistening talent bank of people.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, too, because there's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of good people out of work. Yeah. There's going to be a lot of good people who work at companies that, unfortunately, for one reason or another, and I'm not, talking smack about those companies, but they couldn't support them. Some businesses could just not sustain, and it's an unfortunate reality that some people got to let go. But, if we look at it on the bright side, if we're looking 6, 9, 12 months down the road when the economy picks back up, there's going to be a lot of good people out there who need jobs. And I think us recruiters, 2 things. One, it's going to weed out a lot of the bad recruiters, and the good recruiters are going to shine. And I'm not trying to sound opportunistic or selfish about it, but I think it's just what's going to happen naturally. But, I think that, there's going to be a lot of good people out there, and we're going to have to help them find jobs. And I think that pipelining right now, so let's shift into that conversation from a recruitment perspective. Now's the time to batten down the hatches. Now's the time to deepen existing relationships. Do you know a gentleman here in the States by the name of Joe Mullings?
Yeah.
Now, Joe is a recruitment hero of mine. He's a recruitment mentor. He's somebody that I value immensely. And he gave a really kind of important piece of advice, or tactical pieces. Go back to the last 2 years of every candidate that you placed and reach out to them. Set up quick phone calls, email chats, Zooms, and just touch base with them, because you don't know what's happening in their company, and you know they're a good candidate because you placed them. Maybe there's an opportunity down the road where you could help them again and in turn help yourself.
It's absolutely brilliant advice. And the 6 degrees of separation, they may know somebody who is absolutely perfect for that role that you have. One of our leaders said, 6 months, am I going to wish I could hire? And almost plan your activity according to your answer to that question. And I think it's a really good one, because it's quite easy to get distracted. That is a problem with this full home working thing.
Oh, man.
There's so much stuff you can do. And I just have to lock myself in this room with some water and just make myself do it. But if at least, thank God for Zoom, imagine not being able to have the technologies that we do and being able to see your team. We're having a virtual lunch tomorrow. It's perfect. You know, there's
how are you doing that?
Well, we're all going to join a Microsoft Teams chat, and everybody's just going to pitch up with their lunch, which is great. We don't have to, you don't have to think about what you're wearing from the bottom down, and it doesn't matter if anyone brings some smelly kimchi or whatever.
No one can smell your lunch over the phone, right?
Exactly. And I think it's just a way of the people on the team who are, they really do need that personal connection to just remember that they are still part of a team. They
are. So let's talk about No, I love it. So you know, you have your finger on the pulse with your companies. What's kind of the word on the street? Are companies still moving forward, generally speaking, without naming names, companies moving forward with hiring processes? Are they pausing, evaluating? I mean, obviously in the management consulting world too, it's very client-based, and you know, it depends on that company's clients, right? Their clients could be frozen, and you know, the ripple effect there. But what are you seeing? And it's only been a week or so.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been really sleeves rolled up in it, and so I can really only comment on our business at this point and our industry. And what we're looking to do is think about who we've got, who is in management consultancy, we call it being on the beach or on the bench or underutilized, when you're not actually working for a client. So our resource managers are looking at, okay, who have we got who we can redeploy onto key work at the moment? It's the work I told you about before in defense and security, or operating models, the key stuff that meets the crisis. If we can't find somebody, or let's say we find enough internal people who are underutilized at the moment and we deploy them to another part of the business, that then means we have this bench of people who we had previously offered jobs to. We were looking to have them start, and we've had to have those conversations over the last week along the lines of, we really want you and we are so sorry, and we know you've gone through a really long, hard process to join. How would you feel if we moved your start date out till, let's say, in some cases we're saying September, because the last thing we want is for you to come in here and feel exposed, for us not to have enough work for you, and for you to be coming in a situation where we're just not setting you up for success. And just about every single person without fail has been gracious and pragmatic about that and said, do you know what?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll make it work. It won't all be like that. It's just, you know, Adam, so much of this is just so far from perfect. But that has been, that's been the experience. I think all of our new searches are not happening. The ones we're currently running with, we're just going to keep going with them. We're still going to need, but I'm seeing, and again, we are just in, like, this is day one of lockdown. So who knows what's going to look like in another week or two.
That's
I heard
the scary
Airbnb.
part.
Yeah, Airbnb are sending all their guests back from their hotels today in the UK. So everybody's coming home. So we can't even imagine what's down the pipe, right?
No, we don't know what's happening. And I've actually seen something cool from Airbnb hosts. There's some hosts that are letting that are close to hospitals, or they're opening it up for free for doctors and nurses and folks that work in those hospitals.
Amazing.
So they're closer to home, and not only closer to the hospital, but also so they could self-quarantine themselves and not bring that back to their loved ones. And we're all making sacrifices here. I had a guest on my show yesterday whose son and wife went out to he's in Texas, and they went out to Maine right before the scare. And he said, you know what? I want you guys to stay there. You're out in the woods. You're out in the wilderness. There's fresh air. There's plenty of stuff to do up there. I'm going to stay here in the city, hold down the fort here. And people are making sacrifices.
Wonderful.
And we're all making sacrifices, and we all are coming back to our values. And, I don't know if you saw my post from yesterday. I mean, I had a rough morning yesterday because reality sunk in for me, Laura. Yeah. And I just, it was bad. I mean, there was no way to control it. I had a meltdown, and I think it's okay. It's okay for that to happen. Everyone's going to go through it multiple times because it's stressful.
Yeah. I think you're so right that we're shocked, and then we have to go through that process of anger and resentment before we get to acceptance. And the more realistic we can be about that, and just get on a FaceTime or a Skype to someone and say, this is unbelievable. I can't believe I'm here. And it just diffuses it, doesn't it? It's like when you send a really pithy text to an ex-boyfriend, and you type it all out and you think, but you never actually send it, but you just felt better because you got it out. And
it's cathartic.
Yeah. So that's what we're going through, this catharsis at the moment. We're like, is this actually happening? I mean, that's still where I am. Sometimes I have shards of wisdom, and other times I think, I can't believe this is actually what we're living through.
It's a bad dream. I mean, I look outside. I mean, thankfully, yesterday was real crappy here. It was raining, and I think that's kind of what added to my kind of stress and everything. But I'm looking outside the window. I mean, it's first of all, this is our happy place, right? This is our den. This is our family room here. But I look outside, and the sun is out, and it's bright, and the kids are going to get outside today when my son wakes up. And for us, it's about taking those breaks. My wife is working upstairs, and we're going to try to arrange our schedule so we could actually take a break in the middle of the day. And my wife said it yesterday. My wife's an attorney, and she normally works pretty late at night, and she misses dinner a lot. And she said, you know what? For me, this is a working vacation. She goes, I'm not working late anymore. I still have my job. I could have dinner. I could spend time with the kids. And I'm like, yes, like that's awesome. So these are silver linings here. So I want to end our segment here first by thanking you so much. I'm glad that we connected. I want to keep this conversation going. We'll figure out a time to connect deeper. When we get through this all, I want to talk a little bit more nuts and bolts recruiting. I want to dig into your background and your career story, because I love talking to lifelong recruiters. There's not many of you out there. I think that's fascinating. But Laura, what's a mantra, an affirmation that you say to yourself daily to keep your positive energy and spirits up? Did you catch that?
I think I just lost the connection. I think you asked me what my lifelong mantra is.
Yep, to keep you up and positive.
So my hashtag on Instagram is every time I put something on, I just say the best is ahead, and it's been that for a really long time. I just believe that the best is ahead in every area of our lives, and I think that we just have to. My thing is hope and sleep is what everybody needs to survive, and we can still have both things at this time. Really believe the best is ahead. So that's awesome. My one.
Oh, you're breaking up. I wish it wasn't breaking up here.
I know.
We'll try that again.
Thank you so much.
Laura, thank you. I think we're losing the connection there, but we're gonna get Laura back on the show soon. Laura, thank you so much for your time. We'll chat soon.
Thanks so much.
Take care. Bye. Sorry, Laura was coming off the stream here, and we're waiting for Mila DeChant to chime in, and let me see when she's ready to go. I don't see her up and running yet. Let me send her a message here. Mila, we are live. We are waiting for you to join the show. Mila. Where are you at here? We are waiting for Mila to join up on the podcast. We'll wait for her to talk about it. So while we're doing that, I'm going to talk about a couple of books that I love, a couple of authors. One, Nico DeBron here, my buddy out in Arizona. Really proud of this guy. Put out his first book called We Are Marketers 2.0, another book of crazy stories from his life, all about marketing, some values here. It's pretty incredible. And again, thank you for changing our world and being such a great guy, Nico. Thanks for your kind message here. Love the signature too. That's actually pretty cool. Waiting for Mila to join. Let's see if we could join her in here. Mila, no audio or video. Mila, hey. Nope, you're not connected. Mila, get that audio going on here. We're going to try to get it back on in a second. Let me send her a message here. Everyone bear with us, please. Give me 1 second here. I mean, we're live here. We're trying here, folks. Thanks for bearing with us. We'll get her up and running in a minute. And while we're waiting for Mila, next book I want to talk about is A Cheat Code by a guy named Brian Wong. He had an awesome life story. He's pretty cool. Some great little cheats here in life. One of them that I tried is to stop asking for permission. And he literally tells a story about how to cut people in line at Starbucks in a polite way. So hold on 1 second here. We're going to try to get Mila up and running. I do not see you, Mila, in the waiting room. Could you hear me? Mila, try it again.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mila, how you doing? I don't see you.
Oh, I enabled the
Hi,
cam.
I hear you. Do you have
It's interesting.
it
Everyone.
closed? Let's try it again.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah, another guest was having that issue too. We got you.
Let me.
Now you're out. We lost you. I mean, this is live, everybody. We're trying here. We're taking this one day at a time.
All right.
Hi.
So I just enabled my camera as well. Is it coming through?
No, I just have audio. It is crazy. This is technology. We are live. We are figuring this all out as we go, right?
Oh, this is so
We'll
interesting.
give it I could hear you. I mean, we could start chatting while you kind of figure it out. Is your camera enabled?
Yes, everything is enabled.
All right. On the bottom right, I mean, on the stream, you see the camera mic. Do you have your camera selected?
On the bottom screen.
Bottom screen, you see that little gear that says cam/mic?
Yes, I selected my camera. Okay.
And in your settings, is it enabled on your main computer settings?
Yes, everything is enabled.
I mean, anything happens on the live show, people. Anything happens. we are figuring it out as we go. Well, while you're figuring that out, I mean, how you doing?
I'm well, thank you. It's been crazy times, but it's interesting to witness what is going on around, not just in the United States, but around the world. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there day by day. Grateful that I have it pretty good where I am.
Right.
I have food, water, shelter, electric, internet, video on my internet, sunshine, surrounded by my kids. But not everybody has the same thing. Not everybody is in a safe, secure place. Not everybody is in an ideal situation. So, I'm showing a lot of gratitude these days.
And that's important. I mean, gratitude is so important to express. And in times like this, it's natural for us to identify gratitude as opposed to it being busy, right? And sometimes when we're so consumed with a lot of things, we tend to forget. And it's just human nature to forget.
So let's talk. I want to get back to something because you have your finger on the pulse. What's happening globally? You're a citizen of the world. You've been there and done that. What is happening from friends and family abroad? What are you hearing? What's happening in other parts of the world?
Right. So I've got family and friends all over the world. So from Britain, my family is on the lockdown as well, and then I got family and friends in Southeast Asia, and they are all undergoing on lockdown as well. The death tolls are increasing, but it's interesting how everyone is much more calmer around that, and I still see people, walking around in restaurants or in shops just eating or buying tea or whatnot. I actually just FaceTimed my sister, and she was in the restaurant eating. And, everyone is fine. But, being distant from my family for almost 20 over years, technology has enabled me to be connected with them. And that's the beauty of technology, where you can stay connected on a daily basis regardless of the social gap. And I think a lot of people immediately underwent into that panic mode. When I say panic mode, it's one type of scarcity as to I can't socialize. But coming from a global and globally distant perspective, living apart from family, FaceTime has allowed me to stay connected. FaceTime has allowed me to speak with my family regardless of the time difference. Let it be 5 hours, 8 hours, 13 hours, 15 hours. It's so many different hours, from Australia to Malaysia to Singapore to London, and even Canada. Canada is not much of a time difference, but still. The biggest thing is that I think people right now are struggling with is that physical touch or physical interaction. When I say physical interaction, it's about being in a room with a person and speaking with them, right? And it becomes really chaotic as to, hey, I can't do this anymore. But people have got to realize the minute social media came in, we automatically took ourselves out of a room, physically being in a room, and to be behind a screen, right? We are interacting on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on Twitter. It's all behind a screen. But now, because of the pandemic right now, people have switched forward as to, oh my God, I need to see people. But let's go back 10 steps again as to, social media is still over here to connect us, but it's the mindset as to how are we bridging the social gap.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. I mean, I feel like we've almost been training for this moment for years with our social media and social distancing, but it's so weird. Like I feel like we are coming together so much more for the right reasons, and the technology, it's kind of the reverse. The technology is there to help us versus us relying on the technology to drive us apart. It's just fascinating to watch here. So let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
What, up until about a week ago, what have you been working on, and how has that been affected, and how are you kind of moving forward?
Sure. Well, this time's calls for creativity and pivoting, right? And
Absolutely.
innovation more than ever. I heard you speak with Laura just now, and prior to that with Adam, I believe. Times like this, even during the war times, everything calls for innovation. So things have shifted drastically in my business, because what I do is I work with a lot of organizations, speaking workshops and strategic partnerships. So with these times of halt, I have absolutely pivoted and focusing more on the podcast. I interview a lot of leaders, a lot of when I say leaders, just not pertinent to companies or organizations, but even mayors. I've asked senators to come on the show to speak about what is it like or for leadership right now in times of crisis, right? So that's what I've been focusing on, more of the podcast, and also pivoting as to how can we include the diversity and inclusion and belonging and acceptance piece into a very socially distance. When I say socially distance, it's the remote working. Remote working was such a taboo, or even not a very adapted or adopted piece of ideology. But now everyone has been pushed, but there's a huge gap. So that's the gap that I am filling in. That's the pivot that I'm coming into, helping organizations. How can we truly integrate diversity, the whole of diversity umbrella, into online or remote working? How can we piece that connection? How can we piece that support, that heartship? Right? How can we connect with hearts with your people even when they work remotely? Because my company, everyone is remote. I have got a partner in Wisconsin. So that's what I'm focusing and pivoting on right now.
Yeah, I love it. When is my podcast episode coming out? We did
It's
that
coming
recently.
out. Now we have a lot of time, so we are,
Yeah.
really working on all the editing because previously, before the shutdown, we had a backlog. So now we're just clearing all the backlog of editing. So yeah, I had the great opportunity of having you and speaking with you, and you opened up about the vulnerability aspect. So it's coming out soon, Adam.
Awesome. And that's interesting too. I mean, I'm using this time, working in recruiting, it's a little bit of a downturn. And in addition to maintaining, building relationships and coming up with plan B, I'm using this time to double, triple down on content. I mean, that's what I'm doing with this kind of live series here. I'm experimenting, I'm trying things, but I'm also using Mila to reconnect with folks like yourself, people that I truly value as not only a connection, but someone that I value from a content and information standpoint. I love what you're doing. I think that your message is incredible. It needs to be out there. And you speak from the heart. I mean, people throw around the word heart all the time, right? Like, I think that, sometimes people are using it as a crutch. Some people are using it as a buzzword, but you truly mean it. And that shows in your authenticity, and it shows in your messaging too. So what are you doing to kind of pivot your business and keep, food on the table and momentum going?
Yeah, so one of the things that I'm doing is that, reaching out to organizations to provide that support because everyone is moving online, right? And my company, we have been, when I launched it, I launched it on the basis of hardship pillars, which is working remotely, providing support remotely, and coming together remotely. And one of the things I'm focusing on is reaching out to organizations and saying, hey, I can support you. And this is what my company has been doing for 2 years, working remotely. And we have the tools and resources to enable. I don't want to say empower. I use the word enable because everyone has got the power. It's just a perspective of we are all displaced right now. We are all displaced and misplaced. So it's about approaching how do we replace and place everyone in the right kind of plane from online working, and training those managers as to how can we provide support to your team members online. So that's how we are pivoting, reaching out to organizations and saying, hey, this is our strong point. We have a company that is remote. We have a company that has been supporting our team members. We don't call them employees because we really value people for people. Our team members, and how do we enable them even when they decide to start work at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m., what kind of tools, what kind of other facets of technology do we use to support each other? So that's the kind of training that we have pivoted into, because a lot of the times we do workshops and workshops are on hold. So that's the pivot that we took. We are using our strongest pillar to offer those help to organizations.
Right. And I think that's really the people and the companies that are going to survive. And I'm using the word survive here through this crisis, because the ones that are going to fall back on their core values and the ones that are nimble enough and open to pivot. I mean, pivot's a strong word. Pivot, it takes effort to pivot, and it takes grit to pivot and foresight to do it as well. I mean, I've been thinking too about like, what else could I do? I'm talking to folks about supporting relief efforts, right? Recruiting, whether it be hospital staff, production staff, manufacturing, because obviously, the marketing stuff right now, for all intents and purposes, is closing down for the time being. So where else could I be valuable and use my recruitment skills?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things, because I was speaking with a few recruiters, I was trying to get them on board to come on my podcast. And how can we innovate, right? When we look at everything from a hardship perspective, and we need to be connected. When I say connection, it's just not saying, oh, we value you, but really tapping into the whole extended lens. From an extended lens, how as recruiters, how as hiring managers, how even as internally, right, as managers or leaders, how can we really connect with someone and say, building that gap, right? Saying that, oh, you're not a valuable candidate. I mean, that's not the narrative that people use. but this, you're not a suitable candidate. But also, like, building that relationship with a candidate who is not aligned with your mission at that moment, right? So building that relationship goes a longer way, because it's about building your brand. And this is something, I always do. It's about building that brand, even if someone is not worth it to you, or does not bring value to you.
That's an interesting point there too. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts on this little side point.
About a candidate not bringing value.
Yeah, I mean, how do you determine? I mean, value is such an interesting thing too, because because let's pause for a second there, because we all listen. We have there's a lot. We have to manage our time, right, Mila? So you actually and I'm taking biases out of this. You have to assess value. You have to assess relationship value, and I'm not talking about people value on a personal level, but we have to talk about what's in this from a business perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets tricky.
It does. It does get very tricky. So I'm all about relationship building, right? I just I think 2 months ago, I had put out for a video editor, and so many people did not align with what I was looking for. But what I did was I added all of them onto my LinkedIn. I had, I truly wanted to connect with them, to have a conversation. Of course, building a relationship is two-way, right? It's a two-way street. But a lot of people didn't want to have that. They were like, "Oh, you rejected me." But the thing is that it's not about rejection. I am trying to communicate to you, your skill set or your availability or whatever that you're bringing does not align with what I am looking for, but I'm willing to work with you. But when someone else shuts that conversation down, you can't really move forward, right? And I feel that for me, I try really hard as to, if someone is not an immediate alignment with what I'm looking for, I still,
at that moment,
I still connect with them and say, "Hey, how can I help you? How can I connect to you with others?" Because we are all connected. Like, to be first degree, second degree, 6 degrees of separation. We are all connected. Someone knows someone. So it's I try to approach it from that manner. Hello? Oh, I can't hear you.
No, you can now. You can now.
Okay.
I had it on me. I said I want to shift gears and talk about Mila for a little bit. If you don't mind sharing, you're in the 5 boroughs, or you're down in Virginia. You live down in Virginia, right?
Yes, I do a lot in Virginia, Reston, about 30 to 40 minutes outside of DC.
Got it. And what's happening, in your community? Were people really taking? Oh, she's off. We'll try that again in a little bit. Let's see if Mila jumps back in here. Hold on. Hey, could you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I want to talk about what's happening in your community. A couple things. One, are you actually getting out and getting some fresh air and taking care of yourself?
Yeah. So what I do is I open up my little balcony. I was about to shift my camera to show you.
Yeah, that one's not working.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
And yeah, but I try to. We live in this condo community, so there's a little pond over there, and I get out to walk around the pond. Everyone keeps a 6 feet separation, and that's what I do. I still get fresh air, because that's so essential, and that's one thing I want to tell people. Even if that's quarantined, even when there's a lockdown, open your doors, open the windows, go onto your balcony.
You know what? I'm gonna while we're talking. I don't know if you can see me here. I'm gonna open up my little screen.
Yeah.
I want to get some oxygen into the room. I have the blinds down. It's not. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh yeah, there we go. It's a little chilly. It's in the mid-50s here. All right, good. I got some oxygen. Thank you for inspiring me to open my door.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because that's so essential. Because fresh air changes your mood. And that's what I always tell people, even working in offices, don't be cooped up. Don't be glued to your computers for 8 hours. Every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, your eyes need a break. Your brain needs a break. You know, your whole body needs fresh air. So that's what I've been doing. Going to the balcony, you know, looking at trees, looking at the cloud, looking at birds. You know, there's no harm looking at birds. Enjoy nature.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could still all be outside. There's no reason for us not to be outside. You know, there's no reason to be cooped up inside. You know, if you keep your distance from people, if you do things the right way, if you're safe, if you take it seriously. Hold on one second. And sorry, I'm just lining up my next guest. And what are you doing about your mindset? How do you keep yourself sharp, focused, and your eye on the prize, knowing that this is going to pass?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's, you know, I always believe in the now. Focus on the now as opposed to the past or the future, because when we focus on the future, we will never be able to find solutions for the now. So I read with the mindset of finding solutions, right? We always need to have the mindset of solutions versus challenges or roadblocks. So that's what I'm doing, you know, meditating, which is already part of my daily routine. Meditating, listening to music, dancing. Mm-hmm. I love dancing. So, you know, dance away, read a lot, and write as well. And also, you know, connect with people via FaceTime or Zoom calls and collaborations. Mm-hmm. I do lots of collaborations because time has allowed me to do that as well. So, and you never know, collaborations bring you stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mila, I want to wrap this up here. I want to thank you so much for your time. I value our relationship. I know that our paths are going to cross again soon in real life, in real actual face-to-face. We're going to see each other. You know, I really love your message and I love what you're spreading. And I just love everything about what you're doing, and keep on doing that. And I wholeheartedly support you, and I'm always here for you.
Thank you. I support you as well, and thank you for being a wonderful, wonderful human with a heart and mind.
Thank you. And to everyone who's kind of been with us today, I know it's been a little bit of a slow show, you know, audience-wise, but we'll follow it back up. I certainly appreciate everyone for joining us, and catch us tomorrow. We have another jam-packed lineup, and we'll try it all over again. And thank you so much, everybody, and we'll try it again soon. All right, take care. Bye, everybody.